Today I'm going to show you how to recreate this face base makeup. Hi, I'm Amy and I work for CoverGirl Cosmetics. I work on our face innovation team. And in order to get inspired, I'm always trying new products both in prestige and in mass just to see what types of formulas are out there and play around with products. So lately I was playing with some new prestige products and randomly at work on Monday, all my coworkers were like, "What did you do to your face? It looks amazing." And they all asked me for a play-by-play of how I did my makeup, and then the next day everyone recreated what I had done. So I figured it would be helpful to show you this makeup. It's a really nice luminous base. I really like how it looks. I love how it's very airbrushed and all seamless and blended, natural but glowy, and it's all with really nice, fun prestige products. So if you're interested to see how to recreate this look, then definitely keep watching. And if you're interested in more tips and tricks that I have learned working in the beauty industry and from my own trial and error in my 20s and 30s, then don't forget to subscribe. First, I'm going to apply my Dermatology Universal Tinted Moisturizer SPF 46. This is my all-time favorite sunscreen. I'm always testing new ones, but I always go back to this and probably wear this 90% of the time. I just love how it feels and how it makes my skin look. I don't always do this, but if I have time, I will wait 5 or 10 minutes, even 15 before I apply my makeup after I applied my sunscreen. It's best just to let the SPF filters set up, and I just like to let it seep into my skin before I go in with my makeup so I don't mess up the sunscreen. So since I have time today, I'm going to wait 10 or 15 minutes and then I'll be back. After sunscreen, I go in with the Say Super Glowy Gel or Glowy Super Gel, and I like this in both shades, and then also the Chanel Water Fresh Tint Foundation. This foundation is super watery and it has these little droplets of pigment and it's super hydrating. So it's really sheer, it's not even really like a foundation. I typically don't really like wearing foundation unless it's like a full glam moment because I just feel like I'd like to have my skin show through. So I love this formula because it's so unique, it's really refreshing and hydrating, and it barely really gives any coverage. It just gives a nice radiant slight tint. And then I like to use at the same time both shades of the glowy gel, the pink and the tan shade mixed with the foundation. And I just feel like this is the best combo for a super glowy skin-like base. I'm just taking all the product off my hand, mixing it all together, so the two luminizer shades and the skin tint, pushing this into the skin with a dense brush. This is actually the base that I use almost every day. The rest of the products are newer that I've just been playing around with, but this base, I'm obsessed. It's my favorite, and I think it's also amazing for summer because it's just so fresh. Barely any coverage, but just giving a glow and brightening up the skin. Next is concealer, and I'm gonna go in with the NARS Soft Matte Concealer in shade Creme Brulee. Now, this concealer is something new. I've only been playing around with it for the last few days, but Katie Jane Hughes always raves about it, so that's kind of why I was interested in trying it, and it's a little different for me. I never really use like a matte concealer. Usually I like something super hydrating, so I was worried that this wasn't gonna work for me, but I think because I'm wearing such a hydrating base, that's why it works. I'm gonna dip a brush into the product, and then I'm gonna blend it into the brush on my hand so that I'm not so much applying a big chunk of product and I'm more just blending on a little bit. And I'm gonna apply it with this brush, but I always feel like it leaves brush marks, so then I will blend everything with a blender in the corners of the eye, on the sides of my nose, a little down the center of the nose, in the center of the forehead. Going to take a dry beauty sponge and just blend out any brush marks. Because it is matte concealer and I'm not really going for a super matte look, and also because I have quite dry skin, I'm not going to set this concealer right now. I'm going to do the rest of my makeup, and then I will only really set it at the very end with the finishing powder that I'm going to use. Next, going in with cream contour, I'm going to use the Milk Makeup Contour Stick. This is in shade Stoked, and I'm really loving the shade. So I'm just going to press this into the skin using the same brush that I used for my foundation and luminizer. Then I'm gonna take that concealer brush I used and apply this contour in the crease of my eye and a little bit lifting out at the corner. A little bit down the sides of the nose. Connecting it to that inner corner. And a little around my lips. And I just went and filled my brows quickly. Now I'm gonna go with the cream blush. This is the Persona blush in shade Bubble. It's this super cute, bright matte pink. I'm going to take a beauty blender and dip it into the product and then gently press it into the skin. A little on the nose for a cute sun-kissed look. All right, so that's it for creams. Now I'm gonna go in with bronzer. This is the Guerlain bronzer, and it is one of those bronzers that has different colors. So it has some different shades of bronze or brown, and then some shimmer and some pink in there. One of my coworkers, Claire, loves this and swears by it, so I wanted to try it. It does have a pretty strong smell that's kind of powdery, kind of old-fashioned, but I actually like the smell. It doesn't bother me, but maybe not for everyone. I'm not 100% sold on if this bronzer is my new favorite, but it is exactly what I wore the day that I got all the compliments, so I'm going to wear it again. I still love my Nabla bronzer, and I'm trying out some other new bronzers that I'll definitely share, but this is a nice one, and I do like that it has kind of all these different shades to make it so that you get a more multi-dimensional look versus just one harsh color. I'm going to just blend them all together and then just buff it on the top of my forehead, on top of the cheeks, under the jawline, a little on my chin and my nose. Then I'm gonna use this bronzer also to define my eyes. I'm gonna take a smaller brush, mix it around, put this into the crease, and lift at the corners. Under my lash line. I think the shade might be a little warm for me. I really prefer a bronzer that's more almost like a contour. For blush, I got the iconic Dior blush. My favorite blush, Laura Mercier in shade Strawberry. I actually dropped it the other week and it cracked and then continued to crack worse and worse, and I had to throw it away because it was just becoming such a mess. That was heartbreaking. But instead of buying the same shade, I thought I would try the iconic Dior blush. It's a nice, cool, bright pink. Laura Mercier in shade Strawberry is also a cool, bright pink. This might be a little bit more cool. I do really miss the strawberry, but I wanted to try the Dior because I've always wanted to try it because it's so iconic and people rave about it. So that is what I've been using. So I'm just gonna blend this on. I feel like the blush looks warmer on my face than it does in the pack here. Like I would expect it to be more bright pink, and I feel like it's almost pulling a little bit warm on me. But that could be the combination with that warmer bronzer. So I know I might look a little crazy with a lot of blush right now, but there are only 2 more steps, and this next step is really going to help bring everything together. I think this is probably what everyone was talking about when they're saying my skin looked so airbrushed and blended and blurred, and that is because I used this ambient lighting powder from Hourglass. I've had this before and I loved it. I had it in a different shade and I wanted to try it in a new shade just because I hadn't used it in a while and I feel like it's a very special product. So I got this in shade Diffused Light, and this is kind of like a yellow powder, but it's luminizing or illuminating, but it does not shimmery, it's not sparkly, but it gives a glow, and it's a very soft diffused glow. The way that I love to use this powder is basically to brush it all over my entire face to blend everything together. So right now it looks a little harsh, my blush looks a little too intense, it's standing out on my face, everything's not blended seamlessly together, and you know, there's some harshness between the contour and then basically where I have no makeup at all except for like the skin tint. So adding this powder and buffing it all over the face to blend everything together, I think really just makes your makeup look so seamless and well blended. So I'm just gonna take a big fluffy brush, this is the same one I used for my bronzer, dip it in generously, tap off the excess. Oh yeah, and this is the mini size, just because this is super expensive, but the mini is so cute. So you can always try it in the mini, see if you like it. Now I'm just going to buff this on in circular motions. Actually, I should have said, before you do that, if any of your concealer has started setting into your lines, since we didn't really set the concealer, you want to just blend out any lines and then you can buff this on. And I use this as my setting powder in addition to like a finishing powder, just because I use such a matte concealer. If I were to use a more hydrating concealer, I would set it with loose powder first thing after finishing all my cream products. But because that was a very matte concealer, I don't want too much dryness, too much cakiness. So I just focus on setting everything with this one powder. And if anything looked harsh or anything looked too intense, just keep adding this and blending, and it will just kind of blend everything together. I'm happy with how that diffused everything. I think it just creates such a nice soft look. Almost like cloud skin, it's velvety, it's airbrushed, but it's still very much a skin first look. To me, this isn't that much makeup. I guess this is probably a fair amount of layers for some people, but this isn't like cakey, heavy makeup. I'm still trying to look very natural and like my skin, but better. And because it's super glowy, it feels fresh, even though it's a lot of layers. Final step is setting spray. I just got this Professional Super Setter. I don't always use setting spray, but lately I've been wanting to use it more. I am really liking this. It's a long-lasting setting spray. I feel like it does help your makeup last. And one of the cool things about setting spray is that it can actually help your makeup meld together, and it can kind of take away a harshness to your makeup as well, similar to what we did with that finishing powder. If your makeup is looking a little harsh, you can spray on some setting spray a little bit more than normal, and it might help kind of soften everything a little. So I'm gonna generously spray this all over my face and my neck to try to protect from ruining my shirt, which I've already done. I'm gonna fan it a little. I just added a little lip liner and gloss, and this is the final look. I am loving the way that my skin looks. I think it just looks so healthy, so glowy, very natural, but definitely bronzed, which I always like to look very bronzed. The main product I'm not 100% sold on is the Guerlain bronzer. I'm just not sure if I love the warmth that I'm getting. I might try this look with a cooler bronzer, and I think I'll still very often wear more hydrating concealers. But I think this is an amazing base. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you have any questions. I will link all of the products that I'm wearing down below. If you're interested, I can definitely create a more affordable version of this look. I do typically prefer drugstore products just since I work for CoverGirl and there's so many great affordable formulas out there, but getting to play around with luxury products is really nice. So I hope this was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, then please subscribe, and I'll be back with another video next Sunday.